Yes, indeed, folks, you tune in Blue Please here on WoW Radio, myself, Total Biscuit. Now, before we get to the illusion of choice, there's a few things I would like to read out on the subject of hard mode and easy mode exclusivity. I want to hear from I can't pronounce that, from the Guild Passion on Train.eu, and it says this: Hey TB, my Guild Passion on Train.eu have cleared Old War 25, and even we have a little internal conflict of interest when it comes to hard modes. Unfortunately, the individuals who hold the view that hard modes and achievements are in a bit of a rut in that respect, they no longer have any content outside of farming Old War 25 over and over again, while the rest of us can enjoy hard modes and the challenge within. Truly, there is no home for old raiders. It's an interesting point. Now, I've got a couple more emails actually on attunements, which is very interesting indeed. Yeah, that seems to have kind of poked the beehive, as it were. There's a lot of angry bees. We've got one here. Hello TV, this is Lilrix, the Orc Shaman of Senjin US. I'm listening live right now, and I must disagree with you. Attunements were one of the greatest mechanics Blizzard had. It made sure that people who thought they were awesome players got a nice dose of reality and a swift slap in the face to all Timmy power gamers of WoW. I feel that Blizzard should bring back attunements like Hajal and BT. These attunements were fantastic at keeping the bad players out. Heck, even the Honor attunement was good. It was only bad in the sense that you had to do it on every character. These are just my opinions on preventing the crappy player race from ruining the game. Sincerely, Lyrics, AT Orc Shaman. Right, okay. Here's the problem with that reasoning. In fact, you've got it the wrong way around, yeah? You said attunements were one of the best mechanics Blizzard ever had. It made sure that the people who thought they were awesome players got a nice dose of reality and a swift slap in the face. No, actually it didn't. It was arbitrary. What gives people a nice dose of reality is going into an instance they are clearly unprepared for and getting bitch slapped all over the place. That is a nice dose of reality. It's like, oh, we just walked into something we were blatantly unprepared for because we thought we were better than we really were. We just got smacked down hard. Oh yeah, let's get back. Let's just go back a tier and get on with it. Get on with what we're supposed to be doing. The thing is, stuff like the Honor attunement. The Honor attunement didn't prove anything. Eh? It wasn't even a sensible attunement. It's just like, it proves your patience. It's like, it doesn't prove whether or not you can kill a Nyxia. It's got nothing to do with that. Heck, most of the attunement consists of 5-mans. It's like, what has 5-mans got to do with a 40-man raid boss? Nothing. It's the same deal with the attunements that you used to have to get into SSC and TK. You had to do heroics for them. Why? What's heroics got to do with raiding? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I can sort of understand the BT and Hyjal ones because the first boss of Hyjal was like a loot boss. Yeah? So having an attunement there ensured that you could just go in and farm the loot boss. The thing is, that didn't really seem to stop them in vanilla WoW, when they had Nax, which had an attunement which you basically just had to pay for. Yeah? It was a minor roadblock. You go in there and farm the 2 loot bosses, which were Instructor Vesuvius and a new Rakan at the time. You go farm them while he was still doing Black Temple, for God's sake. Did that affect people? No. Didn't mean they could do the rest of the instance. Now, achievements serve no practical purpose. Therein lies the problem. It's like, yes, I suppose that they give a very obvious linear progression from instance to instance, but there's fewer instances to worry about now. Now, that might have mattered in TBC where there was a ton of content initially. Yeah, there was 2 tiers of raiding from launch, then a further tier after that. That's a lot of raiding. You had 2 instances on the same tier, 2 full-size instances, as opposed to what you have now. You know, tier 7 raiding consists of a couple of mini-boss instances and Naxxramas. And now tier 8 consists of Emelon and Ulduar. Yeah? It's pretty simplistic. And tier 9 will probably consist of whatever comes there. It's like, you don't need that anymore. It serves no purpose. It's obvious what you have to go on to next. Why have an achievement in the way of it? You know what? If people can beat a boss, beating the boss on its own merits is all that matters. Whether or not you went into some arbitrary heroic to collect some arbitrary key or item or whatever should not matter in any respect whatsoever. What should matter is how good your guild is. How good is your guild? Can you beat the content? And if you want to stop casual players or whatever, you want to stop bad players, more importantly, from doing this content, it's very, very easy. You just make content that's difficult. That stops them dead in their tracks. And then what you do is you don't listen to them when they cry. When, say, a guild in, half Nax 10 gear decides, oh, I want to go into Old War 25. Oh, we just got slapped about. Let's get it nerfed. No. Those are the people you do not listen to. So no, attunements, they're both equally pointless. That's all I can say about it. Attunements were not awesome in that respect. They didn't keep bad players out at all. Indeed, I found most bad players in heroics. So I would say that plenty of them had the attunements they needed to get into at least tier 5 content. You'd be shocked at the number of people who were able to get into SSC and TK and haven't even cleared Karazhan because they were just in heroics and because that was all they could do. So yeah, not a valid argument in my honest opinion. And you know what? The Molten Core attunement could go sod off. That's got, going into a 5-man has nothing to do with a 40-man. The Onyxia attunement, that can go sod off. AQ40 didn't have an attunement. AQ20 didn't have an attunement either. Zul'Gurub didn't have an attunement. Naxxramas' attunement was like, yes, pay gold. Serves no purpose. So that's that particular subject out of the way. Right. It's time, I believe, for the illusion of choice. So let's have a quick look. This is not an illusion of choice, right? There's a question here. It's like, could the Emerald Dream be the next expansion? Yes. End of illusion of choice. End of the show. Goodbye. Do you think that works? Oh, yes, of course it could potentially be the next expansion. It's entirely possible that it could be. What should the next expansion be? I don't care. Because I don't care about the lore. It could be freaking Star Trek WoW. All of us are suddenly up on starships that were made by the Draenei and the Blood Elves. We are fighting aliens and bedding Andorian slave girls and whatever. I don't care if it's that, as long as it's got epics. Has it got raid encounters? Yes. Is the challenge there? Is there stuff for me to do? Yes, in that case, I don't care where it is. The entire thing could be based in the mushroom kind of map off of Warcraft 2 Dark Portal. I wouldn't care. As long as it had epics and challenge and raiding in it. So yeah, not too bothered about that. Well, that was an easy illusion of choice. Let's find out. What do we got? Here's one. WoW is becoming more and more complicated in its vast amounts of personal things done for characters, from professions to runes. What other kind of things would you like to see on characters in that respect? That's relatively interesting. Now, I don't think that WoW is particularly complicated in that respect because everything's so cookie-cutter. Like, crafting systems, you have no idea. There are tons of really cool crafting systems in other MMOs. WoW does not have one. So, click thing to make thing is not complicated. It's like, that's really, really simplistic. You want a good crafting system? Try the crafting system that's in Power Stone 2 for the Dreamcast, or the PSP, whichever you have. Which involves putting two random things together and seeing what happens. The vast majority of the time, nothing. Sometimes you get a cool item. That would be awesome. I combine this fish with this cake. It creates item level 239 mace. That would be awesome. I could dig that. And I wouldn't say that glyphs are particularly complicated either. I know a lot of classes don't really have a lot of choice as to what's viable. It's like, these are the obvious viable PvP. These are the obvious viable grinding. These are the obvious viable PvE. I know it's like that for mages. I don't know what it's like for the rest of the classes, but I don't view that as a lot of extra complexity. It's an additional layer, don't get me wrong, but that layer is wafer thin. Waffle thin, in fact. What other things would I like to see? Customization. And customization beyond new dancers and haircuts. Like customizing of armor, dyeing of armor. Why the hell can't I dye armor like every other MMO on the planet lets me do that? No customization there whatsoever. Tattoos. That would be nice. Things that you could add to your armor. Little trinkets, ornaments, trophies. Just something to distinguish myself from the other 500 million players that look like me. That would be one of the most important things. And you wonder, well, why is that important to me? Because usually I rail against this kind of stupid crap. Because I don't like feeling like everybody else. Nobody likes that. You're in an MMO to be this great hero, just like the other 500,000 players that are playing your class and have exactly the same gear as you. At least give me some way to change how it looks. Hey, Lord. Every single one of the mages in my guild wears exactly the same gear. We all look identical. The only thing which differentiates me from the rest of the mages is that I picked a better race than they did. And I'll have one last. Yeah, this is a combo illusion of choice. It'll be awesome. One last one before we go to the shoutouts, and it's this. What part of Old War do you find to be the most fun, and given the chance, how much of it would you change, and which bits? That's from Schmears, from Devil's Rejects on Ice Crown US. Which ones do I find the most fun? The ones that I can't face roll over. The ones that are tricky. We killed Hodir for the first time last week. It was kinda cool. I'm waiting for them to nerf him into the ground. It'll suck. We're on Thorum at the moment. It's bizarre. I can't really get my head around that encounter, but I'm sure I will if we get past the first, minute of it. That's cool. That's challenging. That's something new. Though I want more of that. And I'm hoping the rest of the instance is going to be like that. I know Mimiron's a good challenge. I know Vezax is going to be a good challenge. I know Yogg-Saron's going to be a good challenge. I will enjoy those things. Without a doubt. I just wish that the half of the instance that I'd just done had not been nerfed to the level where I can face roll over it. And by the time I get to the interesting content, I'm asleep on my keyboard. Simple as that. Shout out time, folks. Email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. If you so wish, for a shout out. Or PM me on the show on IRC, irc.mmoirc.com, hash or pound WoW Radio. Click the chat button on the screen on wcradio.com. Alternatively, tweet me on TotalBiscuit. No, it's not TotalBiscuit.com/Twitter. That would be silly. Twitter.com/TotalBiscuit. Any of those myriad of different ways to get in touch. Oh, yes. A shout out to June Mall EU Guild, Reign of Chaos. That's from Father Lucifer. Hey TV, can I have a shout out to Griggs on Boulderfist EU for being awesome. It's from Avatas. Yes, you can. Hey TV, can I have a shout out for my guild Edgeways on Bloodhoof EU who downed Thorum in style last week, as opposed to what? You guys rock. Thanks, FaZe. A shout out to Hornshade, who just says Hornshade. And also, can I have a shout out to Synergy on Quel'Thalas EU for managing to take down Mimiron 25. Also, can I have a shout at for Timius for deliberately blowing me up with a bomb outside Mimiron's room, and one to Blizz for nerfing Ulduar and to their service for messing with several of our raid nights. A shout out to Blubzor for having an awesome name, and to me for skipping an Ulduar raid because I'm a slacker. I skipped an Ulduar raid to watch Star Trek. That's cool. A shout out to Emperor Pen in Shining Force 3 for being an awesome killing machine. That's from Ayo Mo. A shout out to myself because I'm sick and I can barely keep my head up. That's from Dayster. Have Jaffamageddon. It will fix it. A shout out to Matthias, listening to your awesome show, amazing show, on for the very first time. Well, welcome. Hey TV, can I get a shout out to me? I got accepted into What the hell is that? Ringling School. Ringling School of Art and Design. Woo. Also to Enev Anzanzo. That's from Gitty. Yes, you can. A shout out to Plants vs. Zombies on 4-4 at the moment and going to be doing the rest after the show. Gatling P for the win. That's from Seath. Yes, absolutely. Plants vs. Zombies. Awesome. And a quick reminder, of course, we'll be interviewing the lead producer of that particular game as well as the WoW Pego mod on next week's Blue Please. It will be great. Choking here. Can I get a shout out to Final Fantasy XI for filling the time while I wait for WoW to get interesting again? Well, unless you've killed absolutely everything in Old War, I'd say that it's still relatively interesting. Any more shout-outs here? Yes, there are. Can I get a shout-out to my guild, Devil's Rejects? No, you've already asked that. I hate you. A shout-out to Relentless on Sisters of Elune from Eranus. Also to Noz, the cutest no mage you ever did see. Edible is what those things are. They makes good eating. We got any shouts on the Twitter? No, because everyone hates my Twitter, even though I now have 701 followers or something ridiculous like that. Ladies and gentlemen, one last shout out to Pride and Company and the premiere of their new show, But Wait, There's Law, tomorrow, yes indeed, airing on the 9th of May, and it will be airing at 1700 GMT, which is 12 EST on WCRadio.com. If you like the lore, if you have any curiosity for the lore whatsoever in the background story of this game, you will want to tune into that show, because you will learn an awful lot and it'll be entertaining as hell. So yes, a shout out to Pride and Crew. They'll be on tomorrow for their pilot, and they'll be looking for your feedback, so please do tune in. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Total Biscuit. This has been Blue Please on WoW Radio. Check out the rest of our shows on WCRadio.com. You will be very glad that you did. You can also grab them on iTunes. Yes, you can. You can also rate and review us on iTunes, which is also great, and follow us on Twitter, which is twitter.com/WoWRadio, to get live updates of when shows go on air, reminders, and you will also get told when archives go up, as well as all manner of other useful things. If you like what we're doing here, we have a donate button on the top of our screen on our website. Any donation is much appreciated. Got a lot of bandwidth going through this site. Costs quite a bit to run, and thank you as always, to our crew of volunteers that keeps the site running and provides you with excellent shows on a day-to-day basis. My name has been Total Biscuit. You've been listening to Blue Please. You have been a wonderful audience. Good night.